What is going on, everybody? It is Friday, October the 1st, and that means it's time for my news radar. For as long as Android tablets have been a thing, complaints about Android on tablets have also been a thing. It's really just not well suited for much larger screens, and when certain companies make their own Android tablets, they tend to do some customizing of Android to make things a bit more palatable to be used on those screens. And even when we're talking about something like the Z Fold line, Samsung has done plenty of interesting and intelligent things to make Android a bit better suited to using a screen like this. I mean, for instance, they do things like having settings split into two panes and things like that. They've got a little taskbar, cool things like that to make Android more suited or better suited to that larger screen. And it seems like finally, Google is actually going to do some of these changes themselves going forward. We have an article here from XDA wherein someone has sent them a build of what is purportedly called Android 12.1. Now, we know that Android 12 is slated to launch in the next week or so, but 12.1 is apparently going to drop between 12 and 13, and it's going to add all kinds of stuff for larger screen tablet style devices like the rumored Pixel Fold device, which is apparently going to be Google's answer to something like a Z Fold folding OLED screen type device, but of course made by Google. So basically, they've gotten a hold of this build of Android 12.1, and they're looking at all of the features that are there that apparently will be there when the Pixel Fold does launch here, apparently before too much longer. So let's look at this news article here. And what they've done here is they've kind of broken this down, and they're just showing off some of these, some of these changes. And so we're just going to run through these here real quick. I will have a link to this article in the description, so if you want to read it yourself, it will be there. So one of the first changes that I thought was pretty interesting is you're going to be able to apparently have your quick settings and your notifications visible at the same time if you're in a large enough screen. Obviously, when you're dealing with even something like the Z Fold, when you pull down your notifications to get your quick settings and so forth, it's like that. You don't get a split view like you're seeing here on Android 12.1. That's pretty interesting, and I'm not sure if I like that better or not. It's definitely different. And this is obviously Android 12 looking aesthetic, so it's not quite one-to-one with what we have here on Android 11, but still kind of an interesting change to take up, make use of that larger screen. How about a settings layout that is exactly like what we have on Samsung devices, where you have your top level settings here and then your drilled down settings on the side? Just makes sense. You get a bigger screen, you can lay these things out differently. We've already talked about this a little bit, but they are apparently adding a taskbar at the bottom where you can quickly switch between apps, or you can drag an app up in split screen. Now, this is exactly like what we already have on the Z Fold line of phones after the One UI 3.1.1 update, where now you've got this handy taskbar on the side, on this side of the screen. And if I want to launch an app, let's go ahead and launch Twitter, and then I can launch YouTube. And then if I want to split screen Twitter, I can drag it over and I can split screen Twitter. So that is like effectively exactly like the implementation here that we are seeing here in Android 12.1, although they have put the taskbar at the bottom of the screen, which is maybe something that Windows fans will be more in favor of, but still really like that idea. Here's something I hope gets pushed out to everything. They're going to long press on a notification here, and they're going to drag it over and launch it in a split window mode directly from the notification shade. That is absolutely fantastic. And now there are a few more things in this article, but I'm not going to show them to you here so that you can go read the article yourself. I don't want to just take out their content and not send you to them directly. But at the end of the day, pretty interesting that Google is really seeming to get serious here about, tablet interface kind of stuff here with Android 12.1, and I think that it does nothing but lend credence and evidence to the idea that a Pixel Fold is coming in the very near future. Obviously, these things aren't totally polished There's some weird things in the appearance, these rounded edges and so forth. This area up here looks terrible. It looks a little strange, but this is not final kind of stuff at all. This stuff is going to look, I'm sure, far better than this by the time it launches, and hopefully we'll be able to properly compete with what Samsung does. I mean, let's be honest, Google wasn't going to be able to launch a Pixel Fold if it didn't have some of these features like a taskbar, because people would just keep buying the Fold because it's going to have better software. Google was forced to do this, I feel like, and I'm glad that it's happening. I'm glad this is just going to be part of Android. Maybe it'll even be better than what Samsung has. It's going to be interesting to find out. Switching gears to the world of Surface Duo. We were told when the original Duo launched that Microsoft would be delivering 3 years of software updates to the device, and while technically that's not something that we can say that they've not done, it's only been a year and there have been updates every month, they've been pretty lackluster. I think the last 4 months we've gotten nothing but security patches, and the last updates that were actual updates, they introduced some new bugs that still haven't been fixed, like the weird one screen going black bug. So technically, they're still doing this with Surface Duo, but the spirit of what you expect when you hear 3 years of software updates for a device, I don't know that maybe that quite holds up. With Surface Duo 2, there was some wonder. People saying, hey, they've not done so great with the original Surface Duo. Is Duo 2 going to get the same 3-year promise of software updates? And if so, what even will that mean? Well, we are in fact getting the same promise again, as written here by Sean Endicott on Windows Central. Surface Duo 2 to receive 3 years of software and security updates from Microsoft. Now, there's not really a whole lot in this article as far as details. It pretty much just is what it is, although I do want to read you this quote here from Zach Bowden because I think it fits this sort of general mindset of most of us pretty well. It says, quote, "This device should have received multiple bug fix updates a month, but Microsoft has only shipped one every month. And it's even had the cheek to stop shipping bug fixes for the last 4 months as it waits to ship Android 11. It's just unacceptable, and it's not helped by the fact that Microsoft refuses to talk to its customers about this." I could not agree more. Apparently, Android 11 is going to come by the end of the year. I guess technically what they said was we're working to bring it by the end of the year, which means who knows if it's actually going to get here by the end of the year. Maybe they meant 2022. They didn't say what year, right? They just said the year. And as we all know, there are many years. There's not just the year. So who the hell knows what's going on there and what that means for Surface Duo 2. Like I've said already in some other, content on this channel, Microsoft has to get this right. They've got to stick this landing. Surface Duo 2 cannot come out full of bugs and then not have them be fixed for a year. In fact, it can't launch with a ton of bugs, period. The people like MKBHD and Mr. Who's the Boss and Lou from Unbox Therapy, all these massive channels, they're going to have to get their hands on this thing and they're going to have to go, honestly, look at their camera and say, the software is fixed. It's good now. And if that happens, maybe, just maybe, some people are going to buy this thing. But if it launches again with crappy software and lots of bugs, people are going to expect the same thing again because you made this promise once and people aren't going to buy it a second time if this thing launches with a ton of bugs. So there you go. 3 years of software updates promised for Surface Duo 2 as well, whatever the hell that means. If you've already pre-ordered your Surface Duo 2, which if you have and you've used one of my affiliate links in the description, thank you so much because that helps me financially in a somewhat significant way. So again, thank you for that. Perhaps you would like to protect your Surface Duo. This is not a sponsored segment of this video. I'm just interested in the fact that Surface Duo 2 is actually going to get a proper case, kind of, from a proper case maker like Otterbox. We have here a Surface Duo 2 case. And it's basically just a super rugged bumper for $89. Look at this thing. This thing is going to snap on or I don't know if it's going to have adhesive or whatever, but it's going to attach to the side of your Surface Duo like a bumper, but it's going to be more substantial than a bumper. The hinge is even protected here. You can see on the back side here, it actually kind of wraps around the device. You can guess that the camera bump is going to kind of sit here. Power button with the fingerprint scanner, obviously exposed volume rocker there. I'm also slightly confused as to whether this thing has a screen protector or not. Can you see that there's something going on here in this case. You can see the cutout there for the selfie camera. It does have a cover for the USB-C port that will pop in there, maybe keep junk from getting up in there. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but hey, it's an Otterbox. I'm personally just excited to see a proper, case like this coming from someone like Otterbox for Surface Duo 2, because the original Surface Duo got some cases, but nothing like this. There were these weird sorts of pouchy cases and folio cases, but this is like a slightly more normal case. So I'll drop a link to this in the description as well if it's something that you do want to check out. I think it's definitely a step up from something like this, which to me just isn't practical if you're using this thing as your daily, your daily carry phone. You need something that's not going to get in the way. You have to fold this thing out, open it up, and all this crap. That's a much better looking thing than what we had in the past. So guys, that is all the news I have for you today. Be sure to check back every Monday and Friday for the next news radar. Thank you for making it to the end of today's video. If you'd like to help support the channel, hit that join button down below. That does help me out a ton. Stay tuned for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.